Welcome to TOMMO'S Race CHINWAG, your favourite Formula 1 podcast produced by a British biased bloke with a massive Swede full of very questionable wheel knowledge. Broadcast live on YouTube and after the fact on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have a good old natter about each and every Grand Prix of the season. My name's Tommo, let's talk about it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix edition of TOMMO'S pre-race CHINWAG. How are we all doing, everyone? Thank you all for joining me here live on YouTube. Rio, Gladiator, Famke, Road Rage, Annabelle, Lillian, Adonis, NK McFrin, Tina McFillan, Francine, Reese, Kwame, Yada, Ray, and the rest of you. Thank you watching on Apple Podcast, Spotify after the fact as well, and however you choose to consume this glorious live podcast that will hopefully not have any lag or buffering issues. I can't promise, but we'll see. We'll see. I won't be in this setup for much longer. So, yes, hopefully that will fix things in some ways. Anyway, I digress. Should we talk a little bit about round 14 of the 2025 Formula 1 season, around a slightly new look Hungaroring, which we will get into as we go. The big karting track, as many drivers refer to this one, as this very, very, very different challenge to what we had last weekend in Spa. A lot more laps as well. We only had 44 around Spa-Francorchamps. But the Hungaroring in Pest County, many of you are pests. Minton's a pest when he poos in the house. Around Pest County in Hungary, 4.38 kilometres, 70 laps. 70 laps, a lot more laps on the board. Which does prove a different challenge, different punishment. You know, if you get some damage, you don't have to drive around such a long lap. That is ultimately what dictates it, because it is distance that typically informs the number of laps on the board. And the weather could be a bit interesting. We're running the C3, C4, C5 compound, so on the softer end, not the C6, the extreme soft. We're not using that this weekend, but we're on the softer end. And Sunday could be rain. Not looking like there's going to be any rain Friday. I had a little look on Google weather beforehand. Minton slander. Exactly. He can't defend himself because he's outside sunbathing. Not that it's that sunny out. It's sunny enough for him to want to sit out there. Saturday, we might be getting a bit of rain in the morning, but Sunday could be a wet one. Could be a wet one, which could be interesting. We all remember what happened in with the Bottas bowling ball in 2021. It can get a little bit dicey around Hungary if the heavens open. But yeah, I'm excited for it. You know what, for me, and there is definitely a bit of bias in there because I went to Hungary in 2023, went to the track, really, really cool venue, really enjoyed it. Getting out was a nightmare. We queued for like 5 hours for a cab. That was a pain in the arse. But other than that, really good. Get great views of the track. Whether you've got grandstanding or not. So would I recommend? I mean, Budapest is beautiful as well. Really, really cool city. So it's a bit of a recommend. Again, getting out is a bit of a nightmare. But if you're going to go, what I'd say, once, festivities have ended on Friday, Saturday or Sunday, just hang around with all the Max fans who are, on the bevies and just stay until they kick you out. That's kind of what I'd do if I was to go back, to be honest, because then you're not wasting time queuing, you're just having a good time. So yeah, it's a cool venue. It's unique. It's a European circuit that in the not too distant past I would have been like, if we lost Hungary, I wouldn't be too fussed about it. However, as time's gone on, it has delivered some interesting, exciting races, and we'll get into what happened last year. You know what? There's space for it. I love the turn 1, turn 2 section because you can get moves done into turn 1 and you can get moves done into turn 2. You can get a bit of side by side, which we don't see enough. I think Austin does that quite well. We get some side by side racing with the way that the track's been designed, and I feel like Hungary's got a little bit of that. It's a big challenge in terms of a qualifying lap as well. We see a lot of people dipping wheels. The gravel's right there. It's pretty old school. Yeah, actually, I've warmed to Hungary over the last couple of years. I've definitely warmed to it. Public transport to and from the track is actually very good. I really liked it. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe I missed a trick getting the cab out last time, Halito, on the way back. But I'd definitely give something else a try. I definitely wouldn't try a cab next time, getting out of the Hungaroring. But yeah, 70 laps, 4.38 kilometers should be fun. And again, unpredictable weather. Shouldn't be any rain on Friday. There is rain forecast, some rain on Saturday, Sunday, but it's only Wednesday, so there's still plenty of time for that to change. So what about last time then? Well, Oscar Piastri, who leads the championship right now by 16 points, now has 8 wins to his name in Formula 1, 8 main race Grand Prix wins. He got his very first this time last year in Hungary in interesting circumstances, didn't he? Kind of reflect on that race. Obviously, I refreshed my memory by watching the highlights before doing this live stream. We saw Oscar, line up behind his teammate Lando Norris, but make a decisive move up the inside into turn 1. They were 3 wide because Max was trying it around the outside as well. Position he eventually gave back to Lando Norris. Lando lost out to George as well. Almost fell back into P4, but was able to recover on lap 1. And McLaren's, I don't know, over passiveness. They were worried about Lewis, and so they pitted Lando. They pitted the car behind first, which usually, you give pit stop preference to the car ahead. That's what McLaren have been doing very much this year. But they were concerned about Lewis, so they were like, right, we'll pit Lando first. That means he'll cover off Lewis, and then Oscar's further up the road, 2 seconds up the road from Lando anyway, and safe as houses, right? Obviously, the undercut is a thing. Lando gets his new tyres on, goes like the clappers, and then when Oscar pits, he comes out behind his teammate, and then we get the... I still can't get over those radio messages, man. I still can't get over it. I look back and I'm just like, all they needed to do, for me, McLaren, was to be very, very decisive. This is an instruction, give Oscar back the position, done. And don't have this long drawn out, I know you'll do the right thing, you need Oscar to win, you need the team to win, blah, blah, blah. All this just made it so much. Because you know these things are going to be broadcast. And I don't know the Will Joseph Lando Norris relationship, of course, right? Only them two know what's really going on. But that just all felt like you just make it very clear at the start to Lando, the only reason you're ahead is because we're covering off Lewis. You're not there through, merit ultimately, and we did it to help you out, to make sure that you're definitely going to get P2, but you've not passed Oscar on track. Just switch it back straight away, and then once you switch it back, then you can have a go at him. Feel free if you're quicker. And Oscar made a couple of unforced errors in that race. There's the times he was running wide onto the gravel, only dipping a wheel, so not really punished. But Oscar was, this is his first time leading, his first proper F1 race win that isn't a sprint. He was feeling it a bit, and he wasn't fully on it 100%. He was making some errors, and I think Lando could have had a sniff if it had given Oscar back the position straight away, and Lando had absolutely banged in lap after lap after lap. He could have had a genuine shot at passing him, and it ended up becoming this big thing, and it kind of put a dampener on Oscar's first win, honestly, which is a bit of a shame. I think it should have been a day of celebration, and of course Oscar was going to celebrate it in the way that he does, which is very calm and measured, but it was a bit of a shame the way it all played out. And I think, McLaren can definitely... Look, you learn from your mistakes, and I think the team definitely, if they could do that again, would have done it very differently. You learn from your mistakes. You would hope, anyway. It was pretty uncomfortable viewing. But also, team radio was given in Max's car, wasn't it? Because Max was not a happy bunny. Had to give back that position to Lando. Was told to give back the position, by Red Bull, which he wasn't too happy about. He was like, oh, let's see what the stewards have to say, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the team were like, nope, give it back. So he gave that back. Then he was really struggling with the brake-by-wire on his car. Tried to make the move around the outside of Lewis into turn 2 and went wide. And then Lewis kind of stayed ahead. And then obviously eventually tries to make the move on Lewis where there's contact into turn 1, which maybe Lewis did move a little bit under braking. But also Max just went in like a howitzer, locked up, and then it was just the radios were just so like GP Max. There's just no chill there. Max had lost his head. GP wasn't having any of it. This was a race of team radios. You know, the on-track battles were fine, but the radio drama was next level. It was absolutely next level. Gotta say it. Yeah, Rocket League moment from Max. Absolutely, Jamie. Absolutely. How that Red Bull didn't break was beyond me, to be honest. So it's mad how sometimes these F1 cars, they'll have the most innocuous little contact, and then the wheel will just go fail, and then Max just launches his car about 10 foot in the air. Fine, just carries on. His spine's still intact, apparently. So, yes, it was a pretty interesting, pretty memorable race for many reasons last time out. And fingers crossed, we get that again this time. So, let's reflect on the quali head-to-heads so far this season. 16 of 30 done, so we're over halfway. And again, the biggest gap on average is, of course, Verstappen Tsunoda, 0.639 of a second. Then you got Russell Antonelli and Alonso Stroll and Gasly Colapinto all around the 3/10 mark. And then Hadjar Lawson, Leclerc Hamilton, they're about 2/10 kind of on average. And those two. And then Piastri Norris, Albon Sainz, it's about a 10th. Ocon Behrman, half a 10th. Bortoletto Hulkenberg, basically the same, but advantage Gabriel Bortoletto. Okay? You'll repeat after me. Bortoletto. See, for me, I am pronouncing the T when I say bought, because it's bought. But I don't say bought, I say bought. But there's still a T there in my head. Basically, Bottas, okay? I am just terrified of T's, which, given my name starts with T, that's an Omo moment. That's what that is. But yeah, those are the quali head-to-heads. If you are interested, we are keeping tally of them throughout the course of the season. And then the driver standings, which again, the only one that really matters here is number one. There's not, no one's, I finished P7 instead of P8. Memorable, right? That's not really a thing. So 16 points, Oscar Piastri advantage over Lando Norris. 81 points, Oscar Piastri advantage over Max Verstappen. It's going to be one of the McLarens to win it, absolutely. You would feel that, again, on the balance of things, Oscar definitely deserves to be ahead. I think he deserves to be ahead by a little bit more. And I think so far he has merited being ahead, and he would be the right driver to win the championship. However, there are still many races to come. There are still 11 weekends ahead of us. And if Oscar starts to falter, which, look, he might be ice cold, but there's still human emotion in there somewhere. And if it does start to get to him, Lando kind of, again, I never was on board with this. I mean, Will Buxton did his best, bless him, to try and gas it up. Oh, Lando's definitely in this championship. That always felt like a bit of a long shot that was kind of, in the same way that during Spa last weekend, I felt for Crofty a bit. Because you could tell he's trying to gas it up. Because that's his job. He's got, even if the race is, he can't sit there as comms and be like, yeah, this race is rubbish. This is well boring. Like, go and do something else. Go switch on the golf or something. It's more interesting than this. Like, he can't, that's not, his job is to gas it up and make it sound as exciting as it possibly could. And I get what Will was trying to, and I understand, the belief was there. And Lando has kind of had at least an eye in. You think with that Brazil opportunity, where obviously Max ended up winning that race, an insane drive, one of his greatest ever in the rain, with Lando starting where he did up top, Max starting at the back. If that race had fallen the way in Lando's favour and Max hadn't made the progress he had, then perhaps it was on, but you just can't write off Max, right? Even though it's 81 points between Verstappen and Piastri, writing off Max now still is probably a little bit preemptive, just because around certain Grand Prix, Max will still put it on pole and still be able to... Would he be able to win races, though? That's the thing. That McLaren, whatever they've found, their tyre preservation is not even... It's just in a different league. It's in a different league to the rest. And I do think as well, people are quick to chalk up, it's just the car, blah, blah, blah. I think you've got two drivers in Norris and Piastri who... over a lap, and race pace are operating very, very close to the ceiling of that car. You know, I think Max would do a better job than, you know, them two in the McLaren. Like, once he gets used to the nuances of that car, yeah, probably, but not by like a country mile. I think Lando makes the most mistakes out of the three of them. I think Oscar needs a bit more experience, and he's getting that. But I mean, I think also Piastri and Norris are doing a good job with the car underneath them. And it's such an intense title fight, and they know it's going to be between one of them two. And I think unfortunately, we're seeing Lando, those unforced errors. That's the key thing, right? Everyone makes mistakes, but mistakes can be big or small. But it's when they become unforced errors that's what is hurting him at the moment. And hopefully, from a Drivers' Championship point of view, Lando can find a way to deliver. Because Lando's quick around the Hungaroring, but so is Oscar, hence why Oscar won last time out. So we will see, won't we? We will see. Team standings, these are a bit more interesting. Obviously, every single position counts for money, especially those at the bottom. That bottom, well, I mean, Williams' 27-point buffer to Sauber is decent. It's still not a given. It's still not a given how crazy unpredictable this year is. And again, I think we've seen this a number of times in qualifying where drivers in those bottom 5-6 teams really have, you know, might go out in Q1, whereas their teammate gets Q3. And you will see drivers sneak through, you know, in Q1, they might sneak through in 14th, 13th, and then they'll end up making it all the way to Q3. So the margins are so fine that I think the drivers are making a difference, and you're seeing those drivers who are really good over a lap anyway, which I think you can include the rookies in that as well, because having one lap pace is something attainable in a rookie season. It's that race management, it's that discipline over a, 44, 70 laps, whatever it is, that pays dividends. That's what scores the points on a Sunday, right? So obviously McLaren, it's a wrap team standing wise. Then Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, your top four, and we have passed that mid-season point where the ATR is going to get reset. So this is essentially how we're looking now for the second half of the year. Remember, the ATR aerodynamic testing regulations, it resets every 6 months. So based upon where you are in the constructor standings, it will dictate where you are at the end. So for example, Alpine obviously being last, they're for the next 6 months going to have maximum ATR. And then if they're still last by the end of the year, they'll get maximum ATR for the first 6 months of the new regs. And it kind of just rolls on like that, resetting every 6 months. Which again, I think for the smaller teams, the extra payday, roughly 10, 12 million, we don't know exactly, but estimate around that kind of figure per position is going to pay more than that ATR bump. Especially a team like, Williams are investing big time in their facilities still, and they're still behind facility-wise, for sure. Racing Bull's obviously moving a lot of that over to Milton Keynes, still got the Faenza base though, so it'll be interesting to see how much investment Faenza continues to get, because are Red Bull going to change how that team and bring it more in-house in Milton Keynes? It feels like it's going that way. It definitely feels like it's going that way. Sauber obviously have a great facility, but have been underfunded for a long time, and the Audi money. Audi, they've got Revolut on board, which was announced earlier today, which is like a financial, they do bank cards, Revolut. So they're going to be a sponsor on the Audi car. But, VW Group does not have an infinite pot of money, which is because the car market's a bit crazy at the minute. Obviously, Aston Martin, that share price has not seemingly budged at all. So I'm still well down on that. And obviously, new facility, a lot of investment going in. You'd like to think the investors won't pull out. I think they're still in a precarious position, Aston Martin, to be honest. Haas, they want to upgrade. I think they need to upgrade facility. They need a bigger place, because they've definitely outgrown where they are. But at the same time, they are operationally the most efficient team on the grid, has to be said. I wonder how much Revolut will influence the Audi livery. Hopefully not much at all. They've got quite a simple logo, so I reckon just slap that on the rear wing. Job's a good one. And then Alpine, which who knows? Who knows what's going on at Alpine? Not me. I've got nothing to tell you. I've got nothing interesting or different or unique to inform you. Lomo moment buying Aston Martin shares. I know, Rafa. I thought I bought the dip. Turns out I was nowhere near the dip. Fortunately, I didn't put that much money into it. So, oh dear. Ooh. Not the end of the world, all right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Okay. How much time does Cadillac get, Jacob? Jacob, sorry. Well, Cadillac had unlimited up until, was it the start of the year? And then they technically slot in as the 11th team, so they get a 5% extra bump. I'm not sure 100%, Jacob. I've definitely watched something. I think the race did a video talking to Cadillac about their ATR, and I'm pretty sure it was like they had unlimited up to a point, I want to say was the start of this year, and then they've been running as if they're P11 ATR wise since that. I think that's the case, but do not quote me on that because I definitely could be wrong. I definitely could be. If you want advice of how to lose 10x of your investment, then don't blame me, because that's what I did. Good day, Wolfie. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming along. Right, okay, so there are a few news stories knocking about that we should also cover before we get into bangers and clangers predictions. Starting with the Hungaroring updates, which is mainly the, obviously, pit lane, as you can see, and then the main grandstand as well. Big changes at the Hungaroring, a track that you could tell was, you go there, you walk around, you see the back of the kind of pit buildings, and the main grandstand where a lot of the TV production was hosted in there in these tiny little rooms, and it was very, it had charm to it ultimately. But with F1 expanding the way it is, with the hundreds of thousands of people coming through, the gates over the course of a weekend, it was overdue an update from this point of view. Now, obviously, I can't comment on the pit. I didn't get to go down the pit lane and any of that, but obviously a lot of work being done and big change there. But hopefully the grandstanding is a bit better this year. It's looking good. And if it is lagging, by the way, give it a little refresh. There's no connection drop on my end, but I'm sure it's about to. I think it's, like I say, long overdue. Long overdue for the Hungaroring. I don't know how much it's going to affect most fans who are actually going, to be honest. But I imagine it's a bit more just bringing it up to speed. Bring it up in line with modern standards, because this track, isn't seemingly going anywhere. It seems to be, pretty mainstay on the calendar. Do maybe worry, is this part of the Hungaroring being to F1, look, we're going to update this track, we're going to make it modern, you need to keep us on the grid? Because I think there is a concern, there is a valid concern around a lot of F1 fans that a lot of these older school, more classic tracks are at risk of the street circuit revolution. The street circuit revolution. Yeah, sorry, if you're getting lag, my mic's working completely fine on my end. It's obviously not on some of your ends, but if you give it a refresh, that should fix it, hopefully. I don't know. It just says excellent connection on my end, but typical stream issues as per. Another little bit of interesting information is around Max, who, at this whole, if he finished fourth, if he was fourth after this Grand Prix, which there's no way George Russell can jump him because the points gap is too big between them. So after the Hungarian Grand Prix, if Max was fourth, he was potentially able to get out of his contract. There was some kind of break clause there. There's no way he can be fourth. He can only be third after this race, which means he is contractually anyway staying, unless Mercedes wanted to buy him out of his contract, which there's no way they're doing that, because that would be insanely expensive. And yeah, look, Max, in my mind, Max was never leaving. It never made sense for him to leave prior to 26. He'll be there. He will be incentivized, to maximize the performance of the car that they're able to give him. And he will know quite quickly in 26 whether this is a package that can deliver him a title in 27 or 28. I think one last hurrah, a Red Bull would be ideal to finish it out his career there, because I think that's what he wants. But at the same time, how much does he want those extra world titles? How much does he want to race Le Mans and all that, which we know is very much on his radar. So it'll be interesting to see, if he feels like Red Bull are good, not great, would he still persevere with them? Obviously, if he feels like they're the best place to be for 26, 27, 28, then of course he'll stay. But if it's really bad, I guess then it's like, right, who are the teams excelling? Any team would sign Max, of course, apart from probably McLaren. I don't see Zach signing Max to replace Oscar or Lando. I don't see that happening. Even Ferrari, Leclerc Verstappen at Ferrari would be unbelievably vibey, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Aston Martin, of course, there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of expectation, rightly so, around Aston Martin. I think we'll see. We'll see. There are realistic scenarios in all directions. Because as much as it's easy to write off Red Bull and the Red Bull powertrain, new projects, all that, we just don't know. We don't know until round 1 in 26. We will see. We will see. Oscar Max lineup will go crazy. It would, Amy, but I don't see it. I don't see it happening. To be honest, I just do not see that happening. But yeah, Max looks like he's pretty much guaranteed to be in a Red Bull car in 26, which to me is not really news, because again, I think this is always going to be the case. And Toto is just trying to be preemptive and get these conversations done early, so that when we get this 26 season, in which, Mercedes aren't inspiring much confidence in terms of their chassis development, let's be honest, because their car seems to be going backwards now. After that flexi wing change, that seemed to actually hurt Mercedes quite a bit, seemingly, because it kind of correlates. And McLaren, Rob Marshall, Peter Prodromou, Stella, Brown at the wheel, there is no expecting the Mercedes PU to be at least one of the best. There is no good reason to not still put McLaren favourites for next year. If I was to do my 2026 predictions today, I'd probably put the McLaren boys on top. Gotta say. But I'll let you dream, Money Tree. I'll let you dream. I'll let you dream. And then another little bit of interesting information I want to talk about, I find it interesting anyway, is the F1 movie. Just past $500 million in the box office. Has had very, very good reception in terms of ratings. I think it was at 87%, I want to say, on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's 97% audience score as well, which is really good. They spent 200 million on it. It's already grossed over 500, and they've not even repurposed it for Apple TV, which they will be doing. They'll be re-releasing it on Apple TV so you can watch it at home, so it won't only be in the cinema. I'm sure they want to milk the cinema experience as much as possible because it is great in the IMAX. But again, for a movie that, it was always going to be hard to read how it would be received, because Netflix has obviously done wonders for the sport, right? But a movie with Brad Pitt and all these, this Hollywoodification of it, it's always going to be interesting to see how the general populace took it. And look, I would say as for any of you who've watched it, the visuals, and I said this in my my review, visuals are amazing, so good. It's amazing seeing these cars captured in the most immersive way possible. All of that stuff and the genuine cameras, the legit technology they used, that's something that we as F1 fans dream that the broadcast can be one day. And hopefully a lot of the technology pioneered in this movie can find its way onto the real cars. Not to the same extent, of course, right? But you make these cameras smaller and smaller. You make these gimbals even more, precise and efficient. And, I think the the real sport can benefit, because 99.9% of people watching the Grand Prix are not at the venue, and you are so reliant on those pictures being amazing, the race director doing a really good job. I think that ultimately this has been fantastic for the sport. As much as the storyline is very mid, I think they definitely talked a lot about Lewis Hamilton being a producer. There's no way he signed off on a lot of the components of this story, for sure. And I think they will have learnt a lot. And ultimately, the frustration I have with the movie is that there's so much stuff in there that is unnecessarily inaccurate. It could be accurate and it would be just as entertaining to someone who has no idea about F1. Those are the things that annoy me about the movie, right? And I think the acting's not great, to be honest. But it's succeeding. That like money talks, right? People are going to the cinema and watching it, and that's great for the sport. It brings new people in. It preserves the health of the sport, which is important, as much as many of us like to gatekeep, and we're all guilty of it to some extent. This is good. This is good news. And if I never have to hear the word combat again, Freebird, Yandir, in my life, then I'll be a very happy man. Qualifying wasn't even a thing. Well, they can nail that next year. Next year? Not sure. They shouldn't make this a yearly thing. That's also a thing for sure. Or bi-yearly thing. Like, I don't want them to be filming next year in 26. Like, I think you need to give... I think this movie, you give it enough time. I would say that I'm sure that the incentive, the appeal to cash grab this from Apple is going to be big to make another one. I reckon 5 years in between works for me. 5 years between works for me. You get 2 per decade, and you just keep it chugging along. I think that'd be cool. Also, the cameos I really liked. And you know what? I watched Happy Gilmore 2 a couple of days ago at home, and the amount of cameos in that movie, and it's not a serious movie at all. It's as far from serious as possible. But I love the cameos, man. The cameos were great. Like, not just from golfers, just from random people turning up. It was like, I don't know. As a simple man, my simple brain found that interesting and fun and exciting. So, more cameos, but wait until 2028 or something to do the next one, okay? Let's not rush into things. Everyone keeps spamming combat in the chat. Brad will be gone by then. Do you reckon? Well, look, Brad doesn't have to feature, okay? I don't necessarily want Brad to feature in the next one, okay? I'm not tied to Brad Pitt in any way, shape, or form. And thank you, Ragav, for the super chat. Tomo, is there an unspoken rule that at any given competitive session, only one of the Williams cars can perform well? It certainly felt that way last weekend. Look, I think Williams' inability to deliver 2 top cars is almost a situation that I felt we had with McLaren last year, where McLaren operationally had spent so long in the recent past being a bit mid, if not bad, that they got this really good car, and then the team weren't able to keep up almost, right? If you look at an F1 team, and it has all these different facets, you know, you've got pit crew, you've got marketing, you've got car performance, you've got driver standard, right? You've got all these different things. McLaren, all of a sudden, had 2 really strong drivers and a really good car, but then operationally, strategy, just decision making, communication, all of this stuff. Pit crew's been decent for a while at McLaren, to be fair to them. It felt like some of these other facets weren't quite ready, you know? McLaren didn't feel like they were ready to exploit the car that they had underneath them, the situation. And I do feel similarly to Williams, I think they've now got these two really, really strong drivers. They've got a decent car now, which should really be best of the rest most weekends. And operationally, they're still not quite there. They're still a bit behind. And the Dorilton Capital and the James Vale's influence, it still takes years to change things and get, in the right place. It doesn't happen overnight. And Williams still need more time. And maybe part of that, Albon said, 26 isn't necessarily the championship fight, but 27 definitely could be. And I think that's just another year of everyone working on their business, getting each department within Williams on it, getting rid of that brown door at Grove, and then they'll be fine. As we've disconnected, excellent. Just as I said hello to Eddie, we are now back live, I think. I don't know. Who knows? My internet just randomly drops for no reason. Thank you, Eddie, for joining the live stream. It's good to see you here. Yeah, so look, hopefully Williams, give him the car, because I want to see an Albon science scrap for a title. Of course I want to see that. Obviously I want to see that. Right, let's get into the bangs and the clangs, shall we? Starting with my predictions and then on to yours. My bangers and clangers for the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix, as my OBS disconnects and reconnects and disconnects again and reconnects again. Excellent, lovely jubbly. Let's start with race winner. Who do I think is going to take the dub? I put him in the thumbnail for good reason. I think Oscar's going to win. I see no reason why he's not. I think he's driving at a level. He's delivering race performances that are at a higher standard compared to Lando. He's gaining more and more experience every race relative to his entire experience within this sport. I think over a lap, there's basically nothing in it between him and Lando, but I trust Oscar to execute the race and not make those unforced errors. So I've gone Oscar Piastri, race win, wonderfully, again, as always. Stream is healthy. Literally on my YouTube, it says, stream is healthy. If you mean healthy by its heart keeps stopping, then that sounds healthy to me. You've gone for your race winner, Oscar Piastri. 51% of the votes. 32% of you have gone Lando Norris. 6% Max Verstappen. 5% Charles Leclerc. I was tempted to go for Charles, but then I remembered that the McLaren rear tyres do not degrade. And then I was like, okay, yeah, no, it's going to be a McLaren, isn't it? But I think Oscar, Lando, Charles, podium, that sounds about right to me. That sounds about right to me if I had to predict the top three. Banger drive for me. I've gone Gabriele Bortoleto. Now, the Sauber team know how to set up a car for this track. We all remember in 2023, well, I remember, when Joe qualified like P5 and then had the terrible start, which in the F1 movie has now been solidified in that movie forever. Joe having that terrible start, which sucks. And then Valtteri missed out as well. Valtteri got into Q3 and was stuck behind Joe, basically. Sauber know how to set up a car for this track. Gabby's been driving very well recently. He was quicker than Nico consistently last weekend in Spa. He's really finding his feet in that team, and that team have made big steps forward and big progress. So I think Gabby, big points this weekend is what I'm going for. WTF spoilers? Oh no. I know, Joe's stinker is just, it's just preserved in time, which sucks as an enjoyer of Joe. First time giving Gabby banger driver? Could be. Cien could be. I'm not actually sure. So I've gone Bortoleto, and you've gone Lewis Hamilton. 23% of the vote. He's excellent around Hungary. He does always find a way to clutch up around this place. 23% of you went Lewis. 11% Kimi Antonelli. Good to see, because he's had a tough run of it as of late. And I'd love to see Kimi put a big performance in before this break. Because I think he needs it. Like it's been tough on him as of late. And he's a youngster, and it's a lot. It's a lot to take. 8% Charles Leclerc. 8% Yuki Tsunoda. Love to see it. Just make sure you actually... I've seen it back now. It's so annoying. Yuki's literally going through the final chicane, and just as he passed the pit entrance, they tell him to box. What are we doing here? Bro, this is the best Yuki qualifying ever, and you tell him to box like 2 seconds after his part. Oh, pain. Could have been such a good result. Could have been points, which momentum-wise for Yuki would have been huge. But never mind. They just need me as the beautiful engineer. That's what needs to happen. Okay, bring me in. Clanger driver, for me, it's kind of a bit of a shot in the dark, to be honest. I've gone Colapinto. The Alpines didn't run well around Hungary last year, and Gasly's driving very well. Colapinto could do with a good result, but I don't think the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix is going to be that good result. So I've gone Franco. You've gone Franco as well. 19% of you. 11% Lance Stroll, 11% Kimi Antonelli, 9% Lando Norris. And then banger team, I've gone Sauber for all the reasons I said about Gabby. I think they know how to set up their car for this circuit, the nuances of this track, and they've got 2 drivers driving at a very good level, I think, right now. So I think Sauber are going to cook. And you think Ferrari are going to cook. 26% of you went Ferrari, banger team this weekend. 24% McLaren, 10% Haas, 8% Mercedes. So a lot of belief in the Scuderia going on, which only ends in tears. Only ends in tears. I promise you that. And then finally, Clanger team. I've gone Alpine for all the reasons I outlined around last year. And Franco, maybe Gasly could sneak a point. I wouldn't put it past him because he's really driving well at the minute. But I don't expect much from Alpine around this track. And you've gone Aston Martin, who did suck in Spa. However, I think Aston are going to be a lot better this weekend than they were in Spa. They were the worst team in Spa, absolutely. I think this is a very different challenge. I think it will play to their strengths a bit more, the car that they have underneath them, Fernando and Lance. So 23% of you went Aston Martin, 19% of you went Alpine, 14% Mercedes, and 9% Red Bull Racing. Bosh. Lovely jubbly. Hop Hayes, glad you enjoyed the Brickyard 400. I'd love to see a bit of NASCAR in the flesh. I went to Euro NASCAR. I was there supporting my boy Ryan, and the cars sound incredible. So good. So good at Brands Hatch. Love to see it. But yeah, those are my bangers and clangers. Your bangers and clangers predictions. And these are mine. So both same race winner. But other than that, all different. Which is good. That's interesting. That's entertaining. And after the race on Sunday, we will be live once again to reflect upon these predictions. Bosh. Lovely jubbly. Okay, anything I haven't touched upon? We're 45 minutes in, which is typically around the kind of time that we wrap things up. Is there anything I haven't covered? Chat, let me know. I've had to, in order to try and stop the stream lagging, which hasn't worked, I've got the latency at normal. So there's a bit more of a delay between me saying something and you responding in the live chat. It's not too bad, to be fair. Albon in all caps. I can get behind that. I don't know what you're asking, Isabel. Just Albon. Yeah, I'm fine with that. How was Oasis? Oasis was fantastic. Freebird, really good. Went to the first Manchester one on the 11th, wasn't it? Acquiesce in the so much better as well. They sung it at a slightly quicker tempo than on the record, and it just sounds so good live, really good, really really good. But yeah, they were great. Lando Norris will win the Hungarian Grand Prix. Look, it's a few times now he's bounced back. Monaco was big from Lando, Austria was big from Lando, and he needs to, because Oscar's. It's been a couple of races now. Oscar was the quicker driver in Silverstone. Oscar was the quicker driver last time out in Spa. I think that he needs, especially before the break, if he can just kill off this momentum that Oscar's, because if Oscar can win, and essentially without the Silverstone stupidity that he was silly for doing, that's 3 races in a row where Russell's been quicker and he'd have won two on the bounce going into this break. I think Lando really could do with winning this race. I don't think it's going to happen, but he could really do with winning it. Will you address the turkey hair allegations? Look, Beanie, look. If I'd already got the op done, why would this be here? Come on. The Great Recession. Maybe one day. We'll just bring the hairline down to like here. I'll probably buzz it off before then, to be honest. I don't think that's going to happen. Shall I do the next? I'll do the next chinwag in my bucket hat and just hang on. Kind of stand like that. I just do the whole chinwag like that with like a gravelly accent. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Honestly, the stream's been super smooth for me today. Neil, you are like the only one. You are the only one who's had a super smooth stream this time out. Thoughts on Haas this weekend? Hot pace? Haas. I don't know. I'm not sure how they do seem to have a more compliant car across, track characteristics. You can't write off Ollie putting in a stonking 1 lap. And obviously Ocon's won around here before. So, I don't know. Honestly, I don't have any clear and honest thoughts on the Haas, to be honest. But as the Cadillac, still yet to be formally announced. Surely Cadillac's driver announcement is going to come over the break. I feel like that's the kind of news we will see over the break. Surely. Just joined. Can you recap the entire live? Pinto. No problem at all. Welcome to... I'm joking, of course. Did I spot Pep? I did not see Pep at Oasis. I did not see him. He was in the... I was in the normal section. He was obviously in the VIP Phantom ticket section, probably. Thank you, Gladiator Knight, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Ted mentioned on the Spa Notebook that there's a chance Jack could return. Colapinto has not justified their choice at all. Justice for Jack. Bring back Jack. Look, I think once you looking over the totality of their time, Jack has performed better than Franco, but Jack had years of TPC and should never have been dropped in the first place, by the way, just making that clear. But he did have a couple of years of TPC, full pre-season test. The thing for Alpine is like, are they seeing enough in Franco to be like, right, when he is equivalently equipped within our environment, right, and has as much mileage as Jack has had within that team, will he be at a level? Because Colapinto does bring backing that Jack doesn't. That's the thing. Has Jack done a better job? Yes, I think so. I think he's been closer to Pierre. But that's the way Alpine should be looking at it. And again, now that this situation has kind of panned out, I get that Jack has done more performance-wise to merit the seat, but also a lot of me is just like, look, you've made the choice for Franco. Now just... Because he's been chucked in. Like Franco's... It's been a really challenging situation for Franco. Because, this time last year, he was doing FP1s around Silverstone in Williams, and then he's in the car, does a great job, makes an impression, has a bit of a crashy end to it, and then he's plucked into Alpine out of nowhere by Briatore, chucked in the car with, again, very, very little preparation within that team. When you add that context, Alpine need to be looking at it. It's like, right, well, with more time, will Franco improve and grow? Because Pierre's going to deliver points. But whether you put Doohan or Colapinto in that second seat, I don't think Alpine are getting many points from either of them. I mean, Gasly's barely getting in the points himself. So, regardless of who's in that second seat, whether it's Doohan or Colapinto, I think Alpine are finishing P10. So, I don't think they will get Franco out of the car. I don't. I think the financial backing will be enough. and the belief that, right, this is what Franco's done with zero pre-season testing, completely kind of a different engine, different environment, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is what he can do with this. By the end of the year, I think Colapinto will improve. I think he will get better. However, they've not made it easy for him. And I think, whether these clutch issues for Colapinto are self-inflicted or not, it seems like they probably were. But the team have not confirmed that, and they're not going to confirm that. It doesn't help. Like, he can have all the financial backing in the world, right? But Franco's got to deliver the results, and he's still a human being behind the wheel who's, in a very, very high pressure situation. So, yeah. I don't know. Right, okay. Everyone, I'm going to wrap it there. That's 50 minutes. I reckon that's enough time to pre-race CHINWAG about the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix. So thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate you taking the time. And I'll see you on Sunday after the race, where we will talk all about it. Hopefully it's a banger. Fingers crossed, because Spa was stinky. And we don't want that again. Thank you all. Isabel, Freebird, Lotus, Moneytree, Arya, Aaron, Hot Pays, Spicy Potatoes, Dot, Pinto, Neil, Ragav, Alita, Merlin, Yaramir, Yandir, Rainer. Just woke up from a nap, did ya? Well, I'm going to have a nap after this. I'm not. I don't do naps. If I have a nap, it messes me up for the rest of the day. Like, my body clock's just doesn't work for me. Dylan, Johnny, Kane, Dino, Josh, Lalo, McFillan, Famke, Gloomy, Lola, Gav, Baz, Lotus, David, Dino, Josh, and the rest of you